In my New York, it's said, and I hear in Pleasant View as well, that men don't change. They just get better at pretending. In a town that bad boys are as common as crumple bottom handbags, it got me wondering, can a bad boy ever truly settle down? Or is he simply renovating his life to keep up appearances? Hello, most awesome Sims 2 fans, and welcome to another speed renovation. Hang on, because this is going to be a long one. Pleasant View's favorite bad boy gave me some trouble. Just his renovation this time, and you can see it's been renovated before. I've done 3 different times. So we are going to talk about that today. I'm going to give you the tea about Don's life. But before we get into all of that, if you are liking my content, please take a moment to like and subscribe and comment down below. Let me know about your favorite Don Lothario stories. I know he's given you all as much trouble as he's given me. And also give me comments about tips and tricks for building. I could seriously use them. I am no master builder, especially if you have seen the monstrosity that I built for him behind this particular house. It was ugly as all get out, but it was truly functional for what we needed. So what had happened was Don had married the maid, Caitlin, and then they proceeded to have 3 children. I'll tell you more about that. And she ended up dying in childbirth. He got 2 other women in, but the woman that he has now, I'm believing she is going to want a makeover for this house. It needs help. Now, I was going to have him move into the house behind, which is beautiful, but he does not have enough money to move. And while I don't have a problem giving him a loan, I was not going to motherlode cheat. I don't think that's very realistic because he had nowhere near the money to do that. So you're going to see me do a lot of things to this house, which of course are not realistic, but I wanted it to be more of a renovation than a total knock to the ground type of thing. And so here we go. I did so this house itself, I renovate twice. I do like how I did the kitchen, so we're going to keep the kitchen, and then in just a second, you're going to see this blip over, and I'm going to go into a totally other renovation because I finished this house and hated the second floor with the passion of 1,000 suns. So I end up stopping. I go back and I do the video that I released last week, which was my elderly home. So go see that and see what I do to those poor elders in my neighborhood. And then I come back to this and I'm like, I still hate this house. And I got an idea, and that's what you're going to see. So let me tell you a little bit about Don. Grab a cup of tea and make it steaming hot. So Don, like I said, he married the maid who was running around with Daniel and everybody else under the sun. And she was pregnant with a child, and that was his oldest daughter, and her name ended up being Carrie. And then the maid's lifetime wish was to have 3 children graduate from college. So I figure, okay, fine. It looks good for Don, who is coming up in the medical career, to have a wife and children. It also kind of helps him if she's having children and doing what she wants. He can run around. In fact, I think there's 9 children that he has fathered in my Iberville. I know, it's absolutely disgraceful. Anyway, he's done this. And so she goes on and she has their second child, Lydia. And then she wants one more child whose name is Darla. And she dies in childbirth. That is a mod that I have, much to my daughter's horror and dismay. And then she dies, and I figured Don is not going to have the wherewithal to want to take care of 3 children, especially a baby. I know I didn't want to take care of the baby. So he goes and he starts dating Carrie Jung. Now, if you were real quick, because I have this really sped up in this build so you can see as much as possible. Carrie Jung was in the front yard smacking him around or something. They fight daily on the front lawn. So what had happened was he moved her in. They had a romance. He takes her on a Tweaky Island vacation paradise. Very romantic. They were already engaged. They go to an altar. I have this beautiful thing where they can get married on the beach, and she says no. So now in a second here, this is where I'm going to switch. I love the kitchen, hated the upstairs. So here we are. this is what the house looked like. And I'm thinking I want to put a garage here. And even though I put the move objects cheat on, we'll get back to Don in just a moment. We're taking a station break. You're going to see that the Sims do have where you can't build to the edge of the lot. There are cheats and tips and tricks for this. And I did not want to do that because I have noticed that the more that I'm building and the more custom content that I'm putting in my game, the more unstable the game has become. So my idea here is we are going to put a garage, you know, kind of a pretend garage with the door and everything, but then we are basically going to build behind the garage. So that's going to be like the living room there. And then above it, we'll have the bedrooms. So this is where my head has gone. I looked at tons of pictures and ideas, and I just decided I liked that better. The upstairs was so wonky. You're going to see it briefly. I cut a ton of this out. I had hours and hours of redo video trying to get this done, and it would just be too boring. Any of you who want to see hours and hours of the most boring videos on the planet of me just building and, you know, raging at the screen, comment below and let me know, because that can be arranged. I have all the footage. Here, I'm looking for a door, and you're going to see me get a Sims 4:2 conversion that I really liked because it was industrial. So off to the side here, while we're still, you can see that I had a factory. I found that on Mod The Sims because what I like here is I like to do city builder games, and I like decorating around the city. So I did that with The Sims 2. My town, my Uberville, as it's growing and changing, I'm plopping buildings and trees and all different things in order to decorate the city, because I feel, one, it would have been growing. The game itself is 20 years old. Now Don is an elder. We would have been moving things along here. This is really funny. I'm trying to knock down the walls, and the maid is cleaning the toilet. So I had to wait for him to get done before I could knock it down. So now I've got that area set up that it's the garage. Eventually I'm going to put a wall in front of it, but you're going to see that that just worked out better for me, especially for the upstairs. I'm not sure yet how the downstairs is going to work out, but we didn't end up decorating it to the hilt. And some of this was because we did run out of money. I think at this point I have $8,000. I do end up allowing Don to go get a loan. In the end, it works out to be about $10,000. You're actually going to see all that here on the screen, but it's still, you know, I didn't want him to be so far dead. I think, you know, I had to kind of think of this realistically. I didn't want to motherload cheat him into the other horrible house behind him, that ugly thing behind him that really would have worked well for the kids and Christy. But, you know, I thought, okay, we can let him take a loan that he and Christy can pay back, because the loan jar, anybody who's into that, it does have a percentage rate and you do have to pay it back, and it builds interest. So I felt like that had a little bit of realism. I don't know. These are weird things that I'm just like, yes, that works for me. It's got just enough, you know, fakey realism to work. So of course I always have to have extra bathrooms. It drives me crazy when they constantly all have to pee. You're going to see that wonky second floor in just a second, and we'll come back to that. So anyway, after Carrie Jung left him and Christy and Dada came into their lives, we have the three girls, and you're going to see here that some of this is they are engaged, Christy and Don, and at this point the youngest child is a child, and we've got a picture of them right here so you can see the cute little family, and they're doing really well. Carrie is getting ready to go to college, and we've got, look at that upstairs. Does that not look terrible? Now you're going to watch me get rid of it and fix it. And maybe some of you are thinking, oh, you know, it's weird, it's eclectic and fun. No, I need to have straight lines and matchy. Any of you who know me, and I like it. Once we get going here, you'll see it ends up being more straight and more matching, and that works for me. Whereas all those jagged edges, I don't know, I just thought it was ugly. I'm not sure that this is a pretty house when it's done, but I like the way that it turned out, and it's going to be much more functional for the Lothario family. And then Christy gets a nice house as time goes on, they can be paying little bits back on the loan. Look, they even still have an upstairs porch. Oh, I forgot that there was a third floor. So I put this back up and I was like, oops, who knew there was a third floor on this house? So I ended up having to go up there and fix this. And then I end up putting a third floor, and we're gonna have a spiral staircase on the inside that goes up there. And as I was watching this through, you're gonna see it in a second, I put the railing and stuff around everywhere. And I was really, really trying to watch my spending. And as I'm putting this railing around, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, right here. I'm going, oh my gosh, that was 200. Oh my gosh, that was 300. What was I thinking? So on the playback, I was thinking I should have just gone back in there and taken all that back away from Don. I could have found something so much cheaper. So back here, what I'm thinking with Don is I wanted them to have, he and Christy need the love nest. So typically Don does not bring his conquest home. I have hotels and we have places for him to woohoo out and about. So this is his and Christy's personal space. You know, we don't want the children walking in on him and whomever. They are all children and teenagers. And then we're going to have a room for the teenager, for Carrie. And then the other girls, they are sharing a room. And while I would have loved to have had enough money to have given everybody a room, I still also wanted 2 bathrooms up here. Because again, I can't stand it when all the Sims have all these needs and they're hollering at me, waving their hands like, hello, don't you know I need to pee and you've only put 1 bathroom in this house? So I felt that the 2 bathrooms upstairs and the half bath downstairs, this is where we would go. I also, as I was watching through this and I watched myself decorating the kitchen and stuff, I kept thinking to myself, why the heck did I spend all that money on those paintings? And I'm totally going to blame Christy. It was her. She was spending the money, and I feel like that was her fault. I am going to build a little tiny walling around the steps. If you look at my money, I was running out of money here, and I did not spend a ton. Again, what was I thinking? Putting all that money into the railing above it. But I felt that we wouldn't want the cold air going downstairs. Also, one of the mods I have really ramps up the temperature. If you pay attention to Don, anytime you see him, his temperature is freezing. And I do end up near the end, you'll see me put, looks like an air conditioning unit. But what these units do is whatever room they are in, they keep the sim at a right temperature. This is why there's also a ceiling fan over the table, because I do have to either put heaters or a central unit somewhere in this house. Oh my gosh, this was another thing. Why did I put such expensive bathroom fixtures in this bathroom? I supposedly was trying to save money. Sometimes you watch these playbacks and you're thinking, where was my head during this entire time? I seriously don't know. But that was where I was going, and I obviously wanted it to be nice for them, but I could have saved so much money. And I knew, if you look, I only had a couple $100 left. I see it clearly, but I obviously was not, I was on a spending spree. So you see me have Don take the cash right there, and here I go. I did try to save money on the painting right here, and in a second you're going to see me go back and get paint with trim, because I obviously just couldn't stand myself. And I'm glad that I did that, because when I was watching it through, remember, I hadn't seen this for a couple of weeks, and I thought, oh my gosh, no, don't let me have done that. And I was really glad to see I did go back and get the more expensive paint. I would not have been able to live with myself otherwise. But anyway, Don is now an elder. And one of the things that I do is I force my elders to retire. So he's retired. Christy is still working. I do think that they will be able to afford this house and the payments. I think it's nice for everything that they need. And it worked out. And you can see I have enough space. It is not decorated exactly the way that I would like, but I think it's good. Let me know what you think in the comments. What would you change? I'm going to send Don out to play with his dog. Thank you so much for watching. Happy simming, and bye-bye.